Hello and welcome. Greetings to all in the name of the Most High, Maria Alaha in the Aramaic, or God in the English, Maria Yeshua Mashiach, or in English, Jesus the Messiah. Today we are bringing you this video as a result of watching a podcast which was live streamed, but we actually missed it, where these two people were talking about the scriptures and all related to that, and also the occult conspiracy theories, Gnostic lost books, the Nephilim being giants, aliens with genitalia, interbreeding with human woman, and all this sort of stuff. Right? Semi-truths, a lot of it conspiracy theory based and all sorts of stuff. So we put a comment there trying to wake these people up to be careful of all these occult new age claims, these old Gnostic books, lost books, etc., them being pseudepigrapha, all these other what we regard as semi-truths or rubbish, if they prove to be. And they were talking about the pituitary gland and the prefrontal lobe, the mind skate, all this sort of stuff. Again, they had information, semi-truths, okay, not what's actually written in the original ancient, very old Brita, or Genesis in English, of the sacred scribal old tongue or language, Lishana Atika, which is from the Atika, Lishana Atika Cypriot, which is supposedly translated as the actual language of God, or the Most High. And that's coming from the Assyrian Aramaic. A lot of Assyrians say, well, there's no Assyrian Aramaic, there's only Aramaic. So you could say Assyrian Aramaic, or Syrian Aramaic of the Kitab Esher, or the Kitab Esher, the older sister language of the original ancient, very old Kitab Ivri or Avri or Hotep, the original Hebrew, ancient, very old Hebrew, spoken by Moses and the Old Testament prophets, and written down and recorded, and also copied by hand by scribes and monks in Ur-Hai, Edessa, now modern Turkey, around 800 BCE, and also in the 1st century AD, and maybe some more copies of those originals in the 4th and 5th centuries, handed to the original Apostolic Orthodox Catholic Church of the East, hidden for over 2,000 years from the Roman Catholics and the then Mohammedans or Islam, therefore preserving them, remaining intact, never translated into a foreign language like Greek, African, Chinese or anything like that. They had no reason to do that. So we because these people, like we're talking about the prefrontal lobes, pituitary gland, all that sort of stuff, that being the mind's gate, or the gateway to the mind, we were reminded of this book that we have in our vast library, A Brief Illustrated Guide to Understanding Islam by I.A. Ibrahim. Okay. We will have a little look at that because it's very interesting. We might scroll through it to find this mind gate part in particular. If we can, here we go. I might just go back one page. Actually, I think it might be the start of the page. Have a look. Okay, go back. Okay. In this book, page if you happen to get hold of it. We found it in a second-hand shop, I think, a few years back. It's page 16, the Quran and the Cerebrum. D is here, states here, the Quran on the cerebrum, and it states, God has said in the Quran about one of the evil unbelievers who forbade the Prophet Muhammad from praying at the Kaaba. No, if he does not stop, we will take him by the Nasiyah. We actually went to where you can talk to a Muslim about this particular book online a few years back, and he says, no, this is actually not spelt right. And he put like Nasiyah, something like, it's like N-A-S-I-R or something like that. It's different. Okay. No, if he does not stop, we will take him by the Nasiyah, front of the head, a lying sinful Nasiyah, front of the head. Quran 96:15-16. Why did the Quran describe the front of the head as being lying and sinful? Why didn't the Quran say that the person was lying and sinful? What is the relationship between the front of the head and lying and sinfulness? If we look into the skull at the front of the head, we'll find the prefrontal area of the cerebrum. See figure 12. It's pictured here. Functional regions of the left hemisphere of the cerebral cortex. The prefrontal area is located in the front of the cerebral cortex. Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology, Celia and others, page 210. We believe we've got that book outside somewhere in our health section of our library. Remember, it's an old green book covered with plastic to protect it, right? Okay, so what does physiology tell us about the function of this area? A book entitled Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology says about this area: the motivation and foresight to plan and initiate movements occur in the anterior portion of the frontal lobes, the prefrontal area. This is a region of associated cortex. Also, the book says, in relation to its involvement in motivation, the prefrontal area is also thought to be the functional center for aggression. So this area of the cerebrum is responsible for planning, motivating, and initiating good and sinful behavior. It is responsible for the telling of lies and the speaking of truth. Thus, it is proper to describe the front of the head as lying and sinful when someone lies or commits a sin, as the Quran has said, a lying, sinful Nasiyah, front of the head. And here is some sources. 1, this is the Truth videotape. 2, Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology, Seeley and others, page 211. Also see the Human Nervous System, Novak and others, paragraph 410 to 411. 3, Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology, Seeley and others, page 211. Scientists have only discovered these functions of the prefrontal area in the last 60 years, according to Professor Keith L. Moore. So they're relating all of this Quranic scriptures or text, writings, surahs, whatever, to a professor, a scientist, etc., who know what they're talking about. And then it carries on about the Quran and seas on the rivers. Okay, we're not going to look at that at the moment. But that's basically that, right? Very good book. We can flip forward. Talks about the seas, how the salt water meets the unsalted water. There's a bar in between, prevents one flowing into the other. The Quran on deep seas and internal waves. Okay, it's quite an interesting book. I guess you'd have to do your homework, personal research, and find out if this is accurate or not, if this is true or not. They claim it is because they've got the help of professors, right? They're referring to professors all over the world, people that know what they're talking about. Okay, and here's the great challenge to reduce one chapter like the chapters of the Holy Quran that God has said in the Quran. And if you are in doubt about what we have revealed, the Quran, as to our worshipper Muhammad, then produce a chapter like it and call your witnesses, supporters, and helpers beside God if you are truthful. And if you do not, and you can never do it, then fear the fire of hell, whose fuel is men and stones. It has been prepared for disbelievers. Give good news, O Muhammad, to those who believe and do good deeds, for them are gardens, paradise, in which rivers flow. Quran 2:23-25. Okay. Okay, so they've got here 3 biblical prophecies on the advent of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. The biblical prophecies on the advent of the Prophet Muhammad are evidence of the truth of Islam for people who believe in the Bible. It's talking about in Deuteronomy 18, Moses stated that God told him, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I commanded him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. Check out Deuteronomy 18:18-19 in your Bible versions. So from these verses, these followers of Islam conclude that the prophet in this prophecy must have the following 3 characteristics: that he will be like Moses, that he will come from the brothers of the Israelites, i.e. the Ishmaelites, that God will put his words into the mouth of this prophet, and that he will declare what God commands him. Let us examine these 3 characteristics in more depth. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Deuteronomy 18:18 in the NIV Bible, because the Aramaic translator hasn't translated Deuteronomy from the original Aramaic into English as of yet. Okay, so it's Exodus, Deuteronomy. Is it Leviticus then Deuteronomy? 18:18 to 19. Deuteronomy 18. Okay. We are going to read this out according to this NIV. You can look online, Bible Hub, etc., to see the many translations of this particular verse. 18:18-19. Okay. Starting from 17. The Lord said to me, what they say is good. I, or God, will raise up for them, possibly the house of Israel, will raise up for them a prophet like you, similar to you, to Moses, from among their brothers. I, God, will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I command him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded him to say, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, must be put to death. Okay, so who is this prophet? Could it be Isaiah? Okay, could it be someone else like Isaiah? Not necessarily pointing to the New Testament Christ or the Son of God. Okay, it doesn't have any indication here of this prophet. So we're going to use another version that we have sitting here. Okay, it's the New World Translations of Holy Scriptures. We can use another Bible. We have to walk over there and get it. This one just happens to be here from a previous video. So we'll look at it without judgment that it's from, that it's of the Jehovah's Witnesses movement. 18. Okay, we'll go 17. At that Jehovah said to me, who he was speaking to, they have done well in speaking what they did. 18. A prophet I shall raise up for them from the midst of their brothers, from amongst them. Right? He's talking about the house of Israel, like you, like Moses. Okay? And I shall indeed put my words in his mouth, and he will certainly speak to them all that I shall command him. And it must occur that the man who will not listen to my words that he will speak in my name shall myself require the account from him. However, the prophet who presumes to speak in my name a word that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet must die. And in case you should say in your heart, how shall we know the word that Jehovah has not spoken? When the prophet speaks in the name of Jehovah, and the word does not occur or come true, that is the word that Jehovah did not speak. In other words, it's false. False claim, statement, testimony, prophecy, etc. With presumptuousness, the prophet spoke it. You must not get frightened at him. Okay, so who is this particular prophet? Okay, let's have a look at the margin here. It's comparing with someone in Samuel 28:3, 28:11. Let's see if we can find it. 28, 28. Samuel. Was it book of Samuel? Was it book of Samuel? Okay, was it 1 or 2 Samuel? 1 Samuel. 28:23. 28:23. Was it 28? 28:3. 28:3. Now Samuel himself had died, and all Israel had proceeded to bewail him and bury him in Ramah, his own city. It's going on about Paul removing his spirit mediums, etc. Okay, so that's not what we're looking at. 1 Samuel 28:11. Try that one. 28:11. Okay, no, none of these verses are related. So we'll probably have to figure out who that prophet actually was. Probably a person in the Old Testament. Christians may say it's Jesus Christ, but Jews, rabbis, etc. may say no, it's pointing to Isaiah or somebody like that, someone very similar to Moses. Okay, we could have a look online. It might help. Okay. Who was the prophet similar to Moses? Should tell us. What did you say? Possibly the Christ, in the New Testament. Possibly. How is Jesus a prophet like Moses? Jesus is a prophet who calls us to follow him from death, just as Israel followed Moses through the Red Sea and was baptized into his name. 1 Corinthians 10:2. And yet he's greater than Moses, because his salvation does more than point to another, it points to himself. Prophet like Moses, Deuteronomy 18:18. If you haven't guessed who that prophet is, it is the Messiah, Yahushua, properly known as Jesus. Yeah, that's what they state there. Proof that he's the prophet like Moses. prophet like unto Moses, Jews for Jesus. Okay, Islam will say something probably different. That's Muhammad. Okay. A prophet like unto Moses. Did you know that in the Bible, in Deuteronomy, we have the words of Moses, who reports that God told him that he would raise up a prophet from among the brothers of the Israelites, like Moses. So is that saying within that encampment, or something completely different? Okay, we'll check out this Deuteronomy 17 to 20 again. Where is it? The nations, the prophet, the nations you will dispossess, listen to those who practice sorcery or divination. But as for you, the Lord your God has not permitted you to do so. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me, or like Moses, from among your own brothers. You must listen to him, for this is what you asked of the Lord your God at Horeb, on the day of the assembly, when you said, let us not hear the voice of the Lord our God, nor see this great fire any more, or we will die. The Lord said to me, what they say is good, because yes, they will die, if they look upon God. Right? It's written, I will raise up, this is God, I will raise up for them a prophet like you, Moses, from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I commanded him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded him to say, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, must be put to death. You may say to yourself, how can I know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. It's false. Right? That prophet, who's supposed to have these prophecies direct from God, right, has spoken presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him. Okay. So who is he talking about? Brothers, a prophet amongst them. So could it be to follow? Could it be David or somebody else? Well, David became a king, didn't he? So you'd have to look, find out who exactly he was, because it'd be two different stories. Christians will say, oh, it's this person. Jews will say it's somebody else. It's not Christ. And Islam will say it was Muhammad. Right? So who actually was it? Okay, here we go. Speaking to those who had witnessed the healing of the lame man at the beautiful gate of the temple, Peter referred to God's promise of a prophet like Moses, as saw its fulfillment in all the prophets from Samuel on, as many have spoken. It's Acts 3:22-24. So I have a look at the Aramaic New Testament, because it's translated from the original Galilean Aramaic into English, manuscripts into English. So I have a look at that, see what that says. When we find it. 3:22. Okay, what does it say? 3:22. For Moses said that the Lord will raise up a prophet for you from our brothers like me, or like Moses. Listen to him in everything he speaks with you, And it shall come to pass that every soul that does not listen to their prophet, that soul will be separated from the nation. And all the prophets from Samuel and those that followed spoke and preached about these days. You are the children of prophets, and the covenant that Allah, or God, English, granted our ancestors, as he told Abraham, that through your seed I shall bless all the generations of the earth and descendants. For you from olden times Allah, or God, raised and sent his son, while he blessed you if you will revert and repent from your evil deeds. Okay, let's have a look at the footnotes. There's footnotes indications there. This is in the Aramaic NT, translated by Victor Alexander, native born Aramaic speaking, translated from Vietnam or Mesopotamia. Okay, let's have a look here. Where's the footnote? Okay. I'll raise up a prophet. Okay, we'll raise up a prophet. John the Baptist. Yep, that was the prophet in the New Testament, John the Baptist. That's what it's referring to. Okay, even though he, when asked by these Pharisees, etc., are you the prophet? Obviously, as written in the book of Deuteronomy, in the Old Testament, they were well versed in those scriptures. Okay, but they lost its, the original they lost. They wandered away from it because it got so mixed up, etc., or whatever. We already covered this, I think, in another video. Okay, so it took things out of context. That's why they didn't recognize Jesus the Messiah or Jesus the Christ as that Messiah, that the scriptures were talking about right through from in the beginning, Genesis 1 verse 1 to Revelations. Well, it hadn't come yet, right? Hadn't been written yet. So okay, so here it's saying in the footnotes, page 242 of the Aramaic New Testament, translated by Victor N. Alexander, 322 John the Baptist. I think somewhere in the Bible, John said he wasn't the prophet, he wasn't the Messiah, etc. He's just one in the wilderness, making the path straight for the coming of the Lord, a voice in the wilderness, all that sort of stuff. But somewhere along the way in scriptures recall that maybe Christ or someone said, well, some Christians or whatever say, he was Isaiah reincarnated or something. John didn't know that he was actually the prophet, right, written about, and he denied it. Or maybe he didn't want to check the teaching to him stuff, like will the worship be upon him, sort of thing. Who knows? So the Old Testament is saying, Moses said, God said that he'll raise up a prophet amongst you, amongst your brothers, those people he was talking to at the time. Okay. So it may not be pointing to Jesus in the New Testament as the New Testament claims. Okay, you probably get someone like Rabbi Toby Singer that say, no. You got it wrong. According to whatever it is in the Hebrew, it means this. So it's not pointing to Christ. Okay. So again, you have to go do your own personal research on that to establish it as fact, that it actually is him or it isn't. Okay. But here it says in the New Testament, Allah, or God, raised and sent his son while he blessed you. If you will revert and repent from your evil deeds. Okay, so it could be referring to him. They did tell those people, those Israelites, those Jews, you are the children of prophets, in the covenant that Allah, or God, granted our ancestors, as he told Abraham, that through your seed I shall bless, or your descendants I will bless all the generations of the earth. So the message was coming through them, then it eventually went to the non-Jews, the Gentiles, the foreigners, and so forth.